Okay, good evening and welcome back. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let me just refresh where we're at. Okay, so the chapter 10 homework is due today. So make sure you get that in the discussions area by the end of today if you haven't done that. And what I want to do today, we only have a couple more meetings, this one and the next one. So what I want to do today is walk you through the oligopoly project. And so that's what we'll spend most of the time on today is going through this homework. And so it's a little bit different. I think most of you will like this assignment. And I do want to assign students a specific topic, and so it'll depend on um, who's here. But you guys, everyone that's here can pick their topic. Okay, so let me just read the assignment first, and we'll start going through it. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do some. Okay, and so we're going to do some data analysis in Excel. So if you have Excel, you can do some of the stuff along with us. You don't have to do it right now, but if you want to do it along with class, you're welcome to. But I will be doing some Excel work in a little bit. Okay, so this assignment's going to be due next week, next Monday. But it shouldn't take you too long. It's a little bit longer than a normal homework assignment, but it should be a little more fun, and it's due next Monday. So let me walk you through just the assignment here. Okay, so if you go to chapter 10 and you go to the oligopoly homework, there's a couple things here. And first thing is just open up the oligopoly homework. This one here. This is the actual assignment. Okay, so it looks like this. And let me just read the assignment, and then we'll kind of do. I'll have you guys or the students that are here pick a topic or pick some oligopolies, and then I'll pick another one to use as an example, and we'll kind of go through it together. Okay, and for students that are not here and watching this video later, I'll have to assign you one of these topics later, but we'll pick the ones we can right now. So let me read the assignment. Okay, so this is an oligopoly homework. We're going to do some data analysis. So each student is going to be assigned 2 oligopolies to research, and I have a list of suggestions. And so we can use, each one of you can use one of these. There's um, okay, there's 12 students in the class, and there's me. So there's assuming we use all of these, one per student, and then I'll use the other one as an example, or one of these as an example. That we'll have 13 different topics here. Okay, so what we're going to do is first, you're going to pick or be assigned to whatever you want, um, a list of oligopolies. I'll go through these in a minute. And then what we're going to do after we do that is I'm going to show you how to get some of the quick data from Yahoo Finance. All right, it's all free. It's pretty easy to get. Then we'll just put our data in Excel. All right, the first step was we'll look at the data and just kind of see what the time plot looks like over time. Okay, and again, I'll do this. I'll do an example for you so you can see exactly what I want you to do for this assignment. Okay, and then I'm gonna have you learn just a few quick, simple forecasting techniques. One is going to be a moving average, and I'll explain what that is, and we'll get the moving average Okay, so I'll explain what that is, and we'll get the moving average for each of the topics you choose. Okay, and then I'll show you how to do the process, and then some error measures, and then we'll also do something called simple exponential smoothing, and I'll explain what that is as well. All right, so we're basically going to get everyone's going to be assigned to or pick a topic. You're going to get your data, and I'll show you how. And it's going to be an oligopoly discussion or simple research project. And I'll show you to make some simple forecasting methods that we can talk about. And then you're going to have a quick little discussion. And in the discussion for whatever project you choose or assign to, you're going to say a brief discussion on the oligopoly market that these two competing firms are in. And I'll walk through all the examples I came up with, but it could be a social media market, it could be a rideshare market, and we'll go through the options. All right, then you'll mention if these two firms follow a Cournot or Stackelberg model, if that's applicable. So a Cournot situation would be if you have two firms that, to the best of your knowledge, kind of split the market, so they're kind of equal competing oligopolies. They're like 50-50. Okay, Stackelberg would be where there's one firm that's a little bit bigger than the other. All right, so the Stackelberg would be the leader or the bigger firm of the two. Okay, and so if those apply, I think they will in lots of these. You can talk about that based on what we learned on Stackelberg and Cournot from last time during chapter 9. Okay, and then simply what are your expectations for these oligopolies and this market or this industry going forward? So it's a very short homework, it's a very short research project. I want the whole thing to basically be like one page, and so it shouldn't take you too long. You don't have to do any outside research, just a little bit on what the industry is. So your complete oligopoly homework should be approximately one page with the equations and graphs, which I'm going to show you how to get. And if you could put it into a PDF or Word format, that would be preferable. Okay, and you don't need. We're going to do some data analysis. You don't need to submit your Excel file with your assignment. You're welcome to, but I really just need your summary kind of in the Word or PDF form. Okay, and when we're done with this, it's just going to go in the normal homework section. Basically just going to go right here. So you're just going to, when you complete your assignment, you're just going to post it there like a normal homework, and that's where it goes. Okay, so first thing we'll do is, let's okay, so each student is going to have their own topic, okay, and so there's some crossover in the companies. Like some topics have Apple, but none of them have the same exact thing. So these are I tried to come up with a list of oligopolies that are pretty much oligopolies that I think, and I think all of these companies I went through and made sure that you can find the stock price. Some companies I wasn't able to find, like Nintendo is private, like TikTok is private. So some companies don't have a stock symbol, so we can't use them. But these are the ones I came up with. So number one, and again, let me run you through these, and each of you can have one of these options, or if you have something else that's not on this list, you're welcome to suggest that as well. But I have at least one per student here. So number one would be kind of the two big online retailers or like internationally. So there's Amazon and there's Alibaba. So those are probably the two biggest online retailers in terms of just total sales. Um, then I have another one where you can pick basically the operating system market, and there's two big ones there. I'd say Windows is the biggest, and Mac OS is the second biggest. So there's those two. Number three would be the two big social media firms, and again, you can't you might want to choose TikTok, but it's not public, so we can't choose it for this assignment. So we'll stick to Facebook and Twitter. And if you talk about these markets, you can talk about Facebook and Instagram, which are owned by the same. Uh, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and then how that competes with Twitter. Number four would be the big video streaming services that I think are pretty much the two biggest ones. And there's Netflix, which is the biggest, and Disney has Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, all owned by Disney. So you can talk about those ones. Okay, there's two big ride-sharing companies you're familiar with, and this is I like these two because their exact name is their exact stock symbol. So Uber and Lyft, and their symbol is Uber and Lyft. We can talk about the two big U.S. auto firms, and again, like I said, with the car market, there's a lot of firms, but I think if we just narrow it down to U.S. big auto, there's two, well, there's three big ones, but I think GM and Ford would be the two biggest. You can talk about the video game console market, and this one I think would be a good example of a Cornell because they both kind of split the market. So there's Sony and Microsoft, and you could discuss PlayStation versus Xbox in that market. Um, okay, then the two big mobile phone services are the ones I could find: Verizon and AT&T. Two big retail stores, in particular, they're probably the two biggest retail chains in terms of physical stores: Target and Walmart. You can talk about the music streaming market, and I picked um, basically YouTube Music, which is owned by Google, and Spotify, which is probably the biggest one. So Spotify here would probably be the leader in the Stackelberg market, right? Uh, Number 11 would be the live streaming market, and I think the two biggest like live TV streaming would be YouTube TV and Hulu TV, and one owned by Google and the other one owned by Disney. Okay, then another very relevant oligopoly market in terms of, especially in the US, is kind of the big pharma. They're the big tech pharma firms, which are Pfizer and Johnson Johnson, both of which um, created COVID-19 vaccines. And the last one would be the big US domestic beer market. The two biggest ones probably being Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, and Molson Coors with the tap symbol. Okay, so I ran through those, and so each of you is going to pick. So only one student can use each of these, and so once someone picks it, it's kind of crossed off. Or if I miss something and you have another idea or other ideas, you're welcome to use those. But let's see, there's six students here now, and so I'm basically going to give you all the first choice. And there's no process to this. It's just whatever you want, or it's like first come, first serve. And so we'll take a few minutes for me to assign you or you to pick um, which topic you want. And so let's just like go ahead and right now, if you want any of these, you're gonna have to choose one of them or something else. If you want to choose one of these, go ahead and post it to the chat, and I'll go ahead and just go first come, first serve. So there's now seven students. So what does anyone want to, or do you want to start choosing? Okay, so Bryce, you got Sony versus Microsoft. So that's crossed off. Okay, and go ahead and just whenever we don't have to do this. There's no rush here, but just when you get a chance, either yeah, just post what you anything besides what's been chosen. So go ahead and post what you want to the discussion forum, and I'll go ahead and give you that topic. Okay, so what does everyone want to choose? Federico, do you have a choice here? Well, I mean, we're not going in order. I'm just going down the line here. But so you, everyone's got to pick something. I'll, okay, so we got to. Okay, so Bryce chose. We have Federico. We have Kevin. We have Liwen Wang. We have Shidong Cao, and we have Xiao Yu Ding, and we have Yang Yu. So do you all want to choose one of these topics here? Okay, so GM and Ford, we'll do that one. All right, so we got Bryce has Sony and Microsoft, and Federico has GM and Ford. Okay, so Kevin, do you want to choose something?
Hello, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to choose the 11.
Okay. Live streaming. This one.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it. Okay, so I think a few people just entered the meeting, but I'm trying to assign each student a topic, and we've chosen a few. Okay, so there's this one, 6, 7, and 11 have been chosen, and so we got. How about I think you might have just joined, but Lena Shang, do you want to choose one of these list of topics that are not 6, 7, and 11?
Uh, so can I choose the first one?
Number one, yeah, Amazon, Alibaba. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. So, I have one question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's for two people for one group, or each one has to
Oh,
pick.
just no. Each student has their own group.
Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. So I will choose one,
Okay,
the first one. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, that's taken. Okay, Li Wen Wang, are you there? Do you want to choose one of these? One of the ones that has not been chosen? Okay, great. Just you can post it to the chat there. Number 2. Okay, you got it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, number 2. Okay. Apple Microsoft operating systems. You're welcome. Okay, okay. Now we got let's see. Rice, Kevin. So Shidong Cow. If I'm, do you want to? Are you there? Do you want to choose something? Okay. Well, we can. I guess we can come back to you if you stepped away for a minute. Xiao Yiding. Are you there? Do you want to choose? Okay. Well, how about Yang Yu? Are you there? Okay. Well, we'll come back and get each of you assigned something. But so when you're ready to pick a topic, just post something to the chat or turn your volume on, and I'll go ahead and assign you something. But we've gotten 5 of these assigned. Okay, and then in a minute I'll pick one as an example, and then we'll go ahead and start kind of walking through the analyses. All right. Okay, so the the 3 of you here that didn't choose a topic yet, just let me know when you're ready to choose something. And then if you're watching this later on, just if you aren't here live and you're watching this on YouTube, then I'll assign you. You can pick, or I'll assign you one of the ones that has not been chosen. So we'll just kind of go first come first serve. So as soon as anyone tells me what they want, you can have it. And I'll just choose the last one is my example. So I'm going to choose this one. Okay, so now, and then I think I went through, and so look through the ones that you chose, and the thing in bold should be the symbol when you search for it in Yahoo Finance. And so whichever one you chose, just make sure that you look through the right or you get the right one, and it should be pretty clear. Like even if you just search for Amazon, I think this will come up first. But I believe I went through and found the correct um, stock symbol you can find. Okay, and I'll show you how to get the data um, if you're able to do it right now. You don't have to do it right this second, but if you're able to, you can do it with us. So, and then make sure that like there's some topics that like Google's in a few, and I think Microsoft's in a few. So make sure you talk about the specific um, topic that goes with the choice here. So number one, you're going to talk about the like I know Amazon does a bunch of things. Like they do like Amazon Cloud, web services. They do Amazon Video, but only talk about for this topic. You're only focusing on the online retail market. So everything else that Amazon does, they fly rocket ships. So don't worry about that. Just only talk about the online retail market when you're talking about this, when you're doing this topic. Okay, and then number two, this is specifically about operating systems. So I want you to talk about whoever chose number two, um, the Mac OS versus Windows operating system market and how that's an oligopoly. Okay, and then this one's fairly obvious, but GM versus Ford, talk about the two big US auto firms. Okay, so just talk about US big auto. Okay, probably the two biggest automakers in the United States. This one, I want you to specifically talk about the two big video game consoles. So I know Sony does other things, they do TVs. Microsoft does other things as well, but when you chose number seven, only talk about the video game console market in particular, each version of the PlayStation and the Xbox. Okay. Um, and then number 11, I want you to only talk about the live TV streaming market, and in particular, the platform of YouTube TV, which is owned by Google, and the platform of Hulu TV, which is owned by Disney. Okay, so just uh, make sure that you only focus on the topic that is that oligopoly. Okay, yeah. So let me know if you have any questions about that. But I think I'm making myself clear. Yeah. Okay. So any questions before we get started? And the next thing I'm gonna do is show you how to get the data. So that's what we'll do first. Okay, so I'm going to use um, Anheuser-Busch and Molson Coors as an example. So these are the two biggest U.S. domestic beer providers, and I'm not sure if I wouldn't consider as a whole the beer market as an oligopoly. But if you look at big beer, even this might be more monopolistic competition. But I ran out of ideas, so let's use these. Okay, so I'll use this one as an example. Big U.S. beer. Okay, so step one is I just want you to get the data, get all the monthly data for both stocks from Yahoo Finance, put it in Excel as a Excel file, and we'll get time plots. So the first thing we'll do is get the data. So let me show you how to do that. Just go ahead and go to Yahoo Finance. So you can just Google it, or you might have a bookmark, but okay, so if you're doing this along with me, or doing it later, just go ahead and go to Yahoo Finance. I'm just going to Google it. It's easy to find. All right, and it should be this one. Um, okay, so what you're going to do is just search for the stock symbol, and you can either search for the whole company or just the symbol. It's probably easier just to search for the symbol, and then you're going to do it. You're going to do it one for the. Okay, you're going to get one set of data for each. So I'm going to get data for Bud and for Tap. Okay, so if you chose number one, do one for AMZN and do one for BABA. If you chose number two, do one for AAPL and one for MSFT and so on. So it shouldn't be any problems finding them. But if you search for the two things in bold, that should come up. So watch, I'll look for Bud. Okay, there it is, the first one, Anheuser-Busch. And you should see it's either part of the New York Stock Exchange or some other uh, national stock exchange. Okay, so I'll do this one first, then I'll do the cores, the Molson cores next. Okay, so hopefully everyone was able to find their page here in Yahoo Finance. So just search for it. It should take you to the home page like this. And then again, we're going to do this twice, one for each of the two oligopolies in your topic. Okay, then when you go here, go ahead and click on historical data. All right, and you want all the data in monthly frequency. So see what the time period thing is. Let me click on this little drop-down menu and choose max, which will give me everything. So just hit this little button and hit that max. So that's going to give you everything. And this has only been public since. Oh, yes, sir. Okay, so the starting date is going to depend on when your stock went public. So when you hit max, it's probably going to be a different range because it depends on how long that stock has been around. I know like Disney's been around since like 1970, so that's going to be a long one. Okay, so time period, max, leave that. And you want the frequency in monthly. Okay, so max, historical prices, monthly, and just hit this apply button. Okay, and once that starts or stops refreshing, you can just see this download button, click on that. Okay, then you should get this like a CSV file for whatever you search for, and then we're gonna go ahead and save this. Or actually, we'll copy and paste it as an Excel file in a minute, but let's yeah. So okay, so those of you who are doing it along together with me in class, everyone able to get this far? You searched for the stock symbol in Yahoo Finance. You chose the parameters for the data and you just hit the download button. So you should have this file with date, open, high, low, close, adjusted close and volume for whatever stock you search for. So any problems getting here? Okay, so let's what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a blank Excel file and then copy and paste the data I want, because you can't do all the analysis in the CSV form because it's kind of compressed. But it, it should be pretty easy to copy and paste the data. Oh, so just one second. I'm going to try to get another topic assigned. Okay, so see, um, Shidong Cow, you can choose. So these ones have been chosen. So you can choose 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, or 12. So the ones that have an X next to them, someone chose those. Uh, yeah, so you could choose any of the other ones that are not chosen.
Okay, so can I choose number 4?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let me just, a few people just signed in, so let me just make sure it's clear what I want you to do for these. All right, so these ones have been chosen by these students just in order of choosing. What do we have here? Oh, that's this. So I still need to get a topic assigned to Xiao Ding and Yang Yu. So when you see a topic up here that hasn't been chosen, just let me know which one you want. So you can choose 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, or 12. Okay, so either just you can turn your sound on, let me know, or you can post what you want to the chat there. All right. Well, we were about to copy and paste the data into Excel. So okay, so you got one of the stocks. You got the data from Yahoo Finance. All right, and now let me just open up a blank Excel file. Okay, and I'd recommend just doing one tab for each of them. So it's probably easier just to call it the stock symbol. So this one is, for me, it's gonna be Bud. And you can open up a separate tab for your second one we're about to do. So I'm gonna open up a new tab, and I'm gonna call this one the other stock symbol. For me, that's gonna be TAP. Okay, so just open up a blank Excel file and save it. And we're going to copy and paste the data. So we did the first one. Okay, and so I'm just going to copy and paste it, and then I'll delete the stuff I don't want. So if you just, here's the CSV file that I downloaded for Anheuser-Busch. Okay, whatever, if you download the um, data, just copy and paste it. And the easiest way to copy it is just, if you're here, just hit Control A. That selects everything. Okay, so select it all, then copy it. Just Control C. Okay, and then so copy it and I'll paste it in the other Excel file. Okay, so you only need the closing price for each of the stocks you choose. Okay, so if you go back, if you got the data and copied and pasted it like this, okay, you only need this column and the date. So there's some other stuff that we don't need for this analysis. So like the open, the high, the low, and the stuff in the middle. You can delete that. Just I'm going to select the B, C, and D columns and hit the delete button here. I'm going to delete also column C and column D, the adjusted close and the volume. All right, and so what you should have here is just the date and the respective closing price over time, and it's going to go from whenever the first date, the first month that your stock went public, all the way to the current month, which should be the through the end of July, right? So you should have data up to July 1st. All right, and then this is the closing price in actual dollars. And so if you want, you can just format the column to be currency so it looks like the actual stock price with the dollar sign. So if you just choose the B column and format cells and choose currency, hit OK. There we go. Okay, so we've still got a bunch more to do, but we've got so far is so you chose your first stock. Mine's Bud, and you have the date and the closing price in the first tab. All right, and we're going to do the second one in a minute. But so everyone that's following along or going to do it later, any questions so far? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get the other one. So I'm going to get the Molson cores for myself. So basically, okay, and so so if you did number one, you just got Amazon and now get Baba. If you did number two, you just got Apple, so now get Microsoft. If you did number four, you just got Netflix, so now get Disney. If you did number six, you just got GM, so now get Ford, which is just F, right? They have just the letter F as their symbol. Okay, if you did Sony, you just got Sony, so now get Microsoft. And if you did this one, number 11, the first one you got was Google, so now get Disney. All right, and then remember, you're only talking about the market that's listed in the topic. So the one I just assigned, yeah, so the one I just assigned number 4, Netflix is Disney. So make sure you only talk about here the video streaming market. So your discussion's only on the streaming platforms. So you're going to talk about Netflix and compare that to Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, and these are all owned by Disney. So Netflix is separate. These are all owned by Disney, and these are kind of if you take these together, these are a large majority of the streaming platforms. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to get the other one. I got Bud Anheuser-Busch, and now I'm going to get Molson Coors, which is this symbol, TAP. So I'll go back to Yahoo Finance. I'll search for now the other one, TAP. It should be the first one. Here it is. Molson Coors Beverage Company. Okay, and you're going to basically do the same thing. You're going to go here's to the home page. Then you're going to click on historical data. Then you're going to choose time period is max, historical prices, and the frequency is monthly. Okay, so max, historical prices, monthly, and hit the apply button. And then you're going to hit download. Okay, and that should open up for you a CSV file like this. For the other company, the other stock. And what you could do is just copy and paste this into the other tab in your Excel file. So I'm going to go ahead and just Control A, copy, or Control A, select all. and then Control C copy. Okay, and I'll put it in my Excel file in the other tab. Here it is, tab, just Control V for paste. Okay, and again, we only need the closing price, so you can delete the open, the high, and the low. You can delete the adjusted close and the volume. And we just got the closing price over time from whatever date that the stock went public to July 1st should be. Okay, and then if you want, you can format the closing price to be currency, so it looks like the stock price. So this is the price per share. So just format cells, and then currency, and then OK. Okay, so you got your first oligopoly stock in the first tab with the date and the closing price. And you got your second oligopoly stock in the second tab with the date and the closing price, and that's all we've done so far. You got the data for the closing price of that stock for each month that it existed. All right, so it's basically like the average monthly price. All right, next thing. Okay, so if you're following along or you have any questions, then just let me know. Okay, so you got the monthly data, the closing price, all right, and now I would just want you to make a time plot so you can see kind of what it's looked like over time. So the next thing we'll do is this. So you got the monthly data. You put your data in Excel, and now let's just get time plots so you can see kind of what it's done over time. Okay. Okay, so here's the first tab. My first oligopoly is Anheuser-Busch, which is the bud symbol. So I'm just going to select all the data and make a nice little graph so I can see what it's done over time. So just selected everything, Control A. Actually, I don't know what that is, but this one will, let me delete that thing that says null because that's not relevant here. Okay, now let me select everything and make a graph. So Control A. And then let's go to Insert, and let's try recommended charts. And let's do this one. Or you don't have to choose the same one, but I'm going to choose You can choose any of these you'd like. How about this one? Looks nice. Stacked area. How about that? Okay, so there's that, and this is showing the different prices over time from the first day that the stock went public until the current time. And okay, so you can change the format or the colors, whatever, but you just want the basics. So let's call this the closing price. And this is for Anheuser-Busch, which is the bud symbol. So just put your symbol there. All right, and so these are the dollars and these are the months. So if you want, you can choose. You can go to, if you're doing Windows, or you can go to chart, hit the plus sign, or go to chart elements, and you could add axes titles. Okay, and this is just the dollar price, so we can call this USD for US dollars. All right, and this is just the month, or let's call this, yeah, this is the month. Okay, let me call this actually the average monthly closing price. How about that? All right, so there you go. So here's you can see kind of what's happened depending on the success of your stock or the unsuccess. Looks like Budweiser's been kind of up and down. You know. All right, so we got that. So we got a time plot of the average monthly closing price over time for your specific stock that you chose. Okay, so it should look something like this, but it's going to look different because your historical data is different based on what you chose. So everyone's going to have a different graph, but same format. You got the title, the US dollar label, and then the month here. All right. And let me do the same for the other one. Okay, I'll actually, yeah, I'll do. Okay, so for this one, I'll go ahead and select everything, Control A. Actually, let me take away this little symbol for null. Okay, and select all your data for the second oligopoly, so Control A. And then or let me just choose the uh, insert, and then recommended charts. And I chose this one last time, right? The stacked area, so we can do that one again. Okay, so this is the average monthly closing price for Molson Coors, which is symbol TAP. Okay, and if you want, you can hit this plus sign or go to chart elements. And I think if you're using a Mac, and you got to use the drop down menu up here. So just go to chart design and then add chart element, and all the options that I'm doing with the plus sign are over here. So you can do all the things by choosing that. If you're doing the drop down, if you're using a Mac, and so go to chart elements, and you can add axes titles. Okay, and this is these are US dollars and this is the month. And just type it in. Okay, so we got the average monthly closing price for one of the oligopolies with the labels, and we got the average monthly closing price for the other one on the other tab. Okay, so if you've got this far, you've got the monthly data. You put it in Excel and you got time plots until you're done with step one. Okay, so we'll do step two, and again, let me know if you have any questions or are following along and get stuck on something. I can help you. And if those of you haven't chosen your topic, let me know and I'll try to get you a topic chosen. Okay. Okay, step two is I'm going to show you some simple forecasting methods, and we're basically just going to have a little fun and try to forecast what the price will be next month, which will basically be the average for August, right? So once that's done, you can see how well you did. I mean, I'm not going to grade you based on your accuracy. It's just kind of fun to do. So I'm going to show you a couple simple forecasting methods we can do in Excel. All right. So the first one is a moving average. Okay, and okay, so I'm on the first one, so I'm going to move the graph over so I can do some stuff. And a moving average is basically so the reason why you want to do some of these techniques is because these stock prices tend to be a little volatile. So if you just take an average or something that captures all of it, it's going to be hard to see what's um, happened recently. So you want to use a method in which it kind of gives a lot more weight or probability to what's happened recently, because usually in these kind of data sets, the one of the best predictors is basically what just happened, and so we're kind of gonna do that kind of thing. So a moving average just takes the average and moves it, and it doesn't take the average of the whole thing. So the best thing we'll do, or the best thing to do, is kind of take a short average and keep moving it. And so basically, we're gonna we're gonna use this technique to say that the average or the moving average is just what's the average of what's happened for the last couple months. Another way of calling that is a moving average of 2. So column C, I'm going to call it MA2. Okay, which is essentially a moving average of 2. And I'll show you exactly what a moving average is. It's the average of the last 2 pieces of data. So like if you took an average of this whole thing, right, you'd get something like right there. I don't know. Probably wouldn't be a really good idea, but if you take a moving average, it's going to be an average of what's happened in the last couple sectors or couple months, which is likely a pretty good indicator. So it's not exactly what happened last month, but it's what's happened on average for the last 2 months. So the way to do this is let's call column C a moving average, and you have to have at least 2 observations to have a moving average. So let's start right here in C4, and let's just take the average so basically in C4, our first moving average will be the average of July 2009 and August 2009. And again, these dates will be different based on yours, but just start in C4 and take the average. So just right here, C4, just type in equals average of B2 to B3. Okay? So I know your dates and numbers will be different, but just go to cell C4 and put in this equation equals average B2 to B3. Okay, and so it's the average of 40 and 43 is about 41.7. And then the thing is, we can just use the same formula and apply it down. So just go ahead and you can either double click or you can drag it down. So I'm going to click on C4 and just drag it down all the way to the, like this. Okay, all the way to month, um, all the way to August, which is this month. And so you're trying to predict, or we're all trying to predict, not trying to predict, but just for fun, what the stock price will be in like this month on average. So again, you should have average monthly data up to July, and you're trying to predict the average monthly price for August, which has not occurred yet. You'll find out what that is if you want to in next month in September. Okay, so see my monthly average um, forecast for August is the average of June and July. So the average is so the man the average monthly price of Anheuser-Busch went down $10 in 1 month. So that's quite a big drop. Okay, so there we go. So you got your moving averages. All right, and then another thing I'll do is because we got a bunch of data, sometimes it's nice just to lock the labels. So if you want, you can click on uh, View, and there probably is an option here for Freeze Panes, and you can hit Freeze Top Row, and see what that does. When you scroll down, it keeps the labels. All right, so you should have that your moving average of 2 for August is the average of the last 2 closing prices. So whatever your moving average prediction is, it's going to be the average of June and July. See how it's this and this, the average? Yeah. Okay. So we'll do it again for the next one, but let me show you how to get, so you got a moving average and a 1 month forecast. And I want to show you how to get the mean forecast error and the MAP, which is the mean absolute percentage error. So these are just a couple indicators of how well your prediction is based on the historical data. So let's go ahead and get the forecast error, then average it, and then we'll get the average percentage error, then average that. Okay, so let's call column D, and D1, let's call this error. And I can call column E, I can call this APE for absolute percentage error. Okay, and I'll go ahead and just specify the simple equation for the error, and then I'll copy it down for the rest. So error is pretty simple. It's just how far off your prediction was from the actual. So just go to D4 and type in equals B4 minus C4. So it's just the difference between what actually occurred and what your moving average was. So in cell D4, just type in equals B4 minus C4. All right, and then just go ahead and you can just grab the bottom right corner of D4 and drag it down to get all the errors like this. Okay. So this last one was about $10 off. Okay, and then the average error is just the average of the whole D column. So in D147, let me just take the average of all these errors, and that'll give us the error on average, which should be something close to 0. So right here in the August month for the D column, just take the average of all those errors you just calculated equals average. Okay, so equals average of D4 to whatever the most recent. It should go from D4 to July. So I got D4 to D146, and see how the average. Sometimes it was $10 off, sometimes it was better, but on average it was only about 25 cents off. So your hopefully your average error that's here is something close to 0, and that gives you a better idea of how uh, your moving average process is compared to the actual data. All right, and then I'm going to get the absolute percentage error, which is just the percent how far off the moving average was from the actual closing price in percent terms. So this is 45, this is 41. What percent off was this from this? And I think you want to make the E column, format that to be percent. There we go. So in E4, go ahead and just put this formula equals ABS, which is absolute value of, and then another parenthesis. Okay. B4 minus C4 divided by B4. Okay, so it's the absolute value of the actual closing price minus the moving average prediction divided by the actual. So absolute value of actual minus prediction divided by actual, and that'll give us the percent off that this was from this. All right, so that was about 9% off. Okay, and then you can just apply the same exact formula all the way down the column like this. Grab the bottom right corner, drag it down to there. Okay, so you'll see that the ones where the moving average was worse wasn't close to the closing price, then the percent off will be much higher. So this one was 20% off, but some of them were like right on, like this one. Okay, and then you want the mean absolute percentage error right here in the E column for August. So I'm just going to, right here in this cell, right there, I'm just going to take the average of the E column, so equals average. Okay, average of E4 to E4 to E146. Average of E4 to July. Okay, so we've done half of the analysis for the first one. So this is the moving average of 2, the error, and the absolute percentage error. And here's the prediction for the average August. Here's the average error, and here's the average absolute percentage error, which is the MAPE, the mean absolute percentage error. So these are the things you're looking for here. Okay, and because we're going to do a different type, I'm going to kind of make sure I know this goes to the moving average. So if you want to color this a certain highlight, maybe green. Okay, then it'll be easier to see at the end. All right, and then I'll make this one bold because this is the predictor month. Okay, everybody good so far? If you're following along. Okay, so then let me show you another simple forecasting method called exponential smoothing. And it's similar to the moving average, but a little bit different. And I explained on Blackboard under chapter 10, if you see this under oligopoly homework, you see the exponential smoothing document. You can open that up. Okay, so this explains the simple general equation where your exponential smoothing, F is for forecast, and your forecast is basically going to be some alpha weight times the last piece of data plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast. So basically you're putting a weight on how much you think what just happened plays into your forecast. And so like if this alpha was 1, then your forecast would just be exactly what happened the last period. So this goes from 0 to 1. The higher this is, the more weight you put on what just happened in the last observation. And when this goes lower, then you put less weight. So you're putting a certain amount of weight on what just happened, which is likely what you want to do for stock market data, and you're putting some other weight on some of the historical data. So it's a little more advanced than just saying my prediction is what just happened. You're saying that I think like 70% is what just happened, and 30% is what's happened historically. So something like that. Okay, so this is the simple equation, which I'm going to show you how to do in Excel. It's just alpha times the last observation plus 1 minus alpha times the last forecast. Okay, that's it. Okay, so for example, so the FT is next month's forecast, which I guess would be the average price for August. Okay, and then YT minus 1 is just what happened one time period ago, so the previous month's price. FT minus 1 is the previous month's forecast. And like for example, if alpha is 0.9, then 1 minus alpha is 0.1. So it has to add up to 1. So if alpha is 0.9, 1 minus alpha is 0.1. If alpha is 0.8, 1 minus alpha is 0.2. And you can see that the lower this number is, or the higher this number is, the more weight you put on the last observation. And the lower it is, the less weight. Okay? So yeah. Okay. And I guess this would technically be, yeah, okay. All right, so we'll do our exponential smoothing right here, and we'll choose an alpha, and then we'll just get the exponential smoothing equation, apply it, and then we'll get the error and the absolute percentage error right here, all right? So just doing some kind of fun, simple forecasting techniques to see how this plays into your discussion on the oligopolies. All right, let's call F1 okay, we'll call it, I'll just abbreviate for exponential smoothing. And we're going to set up, I'm just going to specify alpha at 0.9, so that essentially says that 90% of our prediction is what happened the last month. Okay. So we need to set up the first one. So if you go to F3, just type in equals B2. Okay, you have to start with the first one just as a starting point. So the first forecast is just what happened the last period, and then we'll start putting weights on them. So in F4, the equation is equals 0.9 times B3 plus 0.1 times F3. Okay, so see it's 0.9 alpha times B3 plus 0.1 times F3, so it's 0.9 times the last closing price times the last real data, and then 0.1 times the last forecast. So you're weighing the previous observation at 90% and basically the historical data at 10%. Okay, so your equation is going to look exactly like this. Just go into F4, and it's equals 0.9 times B3 plus parentheses 0.1 times F3. All right, and then let's just apply this equation all the way down. So grab the bottom right corner of F4, and you can drag it down like this, all the way to here, and see how this one, so our August prediction is 0.9 times what happened in July, plus 0.1 times the last forecast. So 90% of our prediction is just what happened last month, or last month on average. And 10% is based on historical forecast prediction. All right, so your prediction for August should be something like this, equals 0.9 times the closing price for July, plus 0.1 times the exponential smoothing forecast for July. All right, and then let me just get the error and the absolute percentage error for this one. Okay, so in G3, the error is just what happened minus what you predicted. So at G3, just type in equals B3 minus F3. Okay, actual minus prediction equals B3 minus F3. Okay, and then you can just you can drag the bottom right corner of G3 all the way down, like that. Okay, and here, just take the average of the G column. So in the August row, in the G column, take equals average. Average of G3 to G146. Okay, so there's that one. The average error was about 18 cents. And let's get the absolute percentage error here. So make sure that each column is in percentages. All right, and your APE is going to be similar to what we did last time. Equals, in H3 equals ABS, double parenthesis, B3 minus F3, parenthesis, divided by B3. Okay, equals ABS, the absolute value of the actual minus the prediction, divided by the actual, and for your equation, it's just equals ABS, B3 minus F3 divided by B3. All right, and then again, we can just grab the bottom right corner of H3 and drag it down like this. All the way down there, and then in the August row for H, just take the average of all the APEs, so equals average average of H3 all the way to the July AP or MAP APE. Okay, so and let me make this one a separate color for the exponential smoothing stuff. So this, let's make it blue. Okay, so see we've got our data, and we've done a moving average 2 calculation for all the months, including the prediction of monthly for August. Okay, we've done all the errors through the whole process, and we've got the average error there, and we've got all the absolute percentage errors, and then the average of that right there, and then we've done the same for exponential smoothing. Here's all the exponential smoothing calculations. Here's the next one, which would be essentially the prediction for August. Here's all the errors and the average error for the exponential smoothing versus the closing, and then here's all the APEs and the mean, which would be the MAPE. All right, and so again, you can double check that your prediction for August for the the moving average of 2, is the average of the closing price in June and July. And your exponential smoothing prediction should be equals 0.9 times the closing price in July plus 0.1 times the forecast in July. Okay, so if you've come this far, you've essentially done half of the analysis. So you've done one of the oligopolies, and all we got to do now is do the other one, and then um, include some summaries and a little discussion. All right, so everyone good on what to do so far? All right, so we've done step one. We've done this part of step two, and actually we've done this part of step two for one of the stocks. But let me do the other step two for the other one, and then I'll show you how to just to summarize everything, a little discussion, and then yeah. So I'll go through the next oligopoly for my example, which is Molson Coors, and I'll go through this one a little more quickly because I've already gone through all the steps. We're just going to repeat it for the second oligopoly you got. Okay, so we did it for, or you did it for your first oligopoly. Mine was Bud, Anheuser-Busch, and I'll do the analysis for my second oligopoly, which for me is Molson Coors Tap, and for you is whatever your second one is. Okay, so first tab is done. All right, so we're essentially going to do the same analysis for the second one. Okay, let's go here. Okay, so this will be the MA2. Okay, so I'll go ahead and keep the same colors so I did for the MA, the moving average. I think I chose the light green, and this one was light blue, just so you can see what they are. And let me, if you want to make it easier to see, you can freeze the top row. View, freeze panes, freeze top row like that. Okay, so again, you should have average monthly prices up to from the first date your stock went public until the average of July, and then you're trying to predict the average of August. All right, so this is the one you're predicting, and we're going to get our predictions and metrics for the MA2 here in green. And we'll get this stuff for the exponential smoothing in blue. Okay, and just note that you'll have more or less data based on how many observations you had. So, for example, like uh, Anheuser-Busch has only been or only had a public stock, it looks like, or at least available since 2009, and Molson Coors, it's been around since 1985. So, based on when the data was available or when that stock went public, your starting date is going to be different than mine, but your data should go up until the average of July, right? All right. Let's go through this analysis here. So I'll just get the MA2, the error, and the APE for Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch. Okay, so basically in C4, you're going to do this average. Okay, average B2 to B3. Okay, you can copy that down all the way to the end. Okay, so see how the moving average is just the average of the last two data points, which were June and July. So your MA2 for your prediction of August is just the average of June and the average of July. So see how the average of 53 and 48 is something like 50, 51. There we go. Okay, so the error again is just the closing, actual closing minus the prediction. So that minus that. So in D4 equals B4 minus C4. Okay, drag that down to the bottom. Okay, and then take the average here. Okay, then let's do the APE. So make sure the E column is in percentages, so it'll come out as such. And just go ahead and go to E4, and your formula is the same one you've done a couple times, but it's equals. Okay, equals ABS double parenthesis B4 minus C4 divided by B4. So that's the absolute value of the actual minus the prediction of the actual, about 9% off. And then we'll just drag that down to get all the other APEs, yeah. And then here we'll get the average, which will be the MAPE, the mean absolute percentage error, right? Okay, so we got the one done there for um, Molson cores for all the MA moving average stuff. Now let's just do the exponential smoothing, and we'll sum everything up. All right, so let's set up our exponential smoothing in F3. So the first exponential smoothing number will just be the last, or essentially the first closing price in your data, which is, so in F3 equals B2. All right, and then let's set up the actual exponential smoothing equation that we'll copy down. So make sure in F4 it's equals Okay, equals 0.9 times B3 plus 0.1 times F3. So it's 90% of the previous data and then 10% of the previous forecast. So 0.9 times B3 plus 0.1 times F3, and 0.9 is alpha, which obviously means that 1 minus alpha is 0.1. Okay, then let's drag this down all the way to the end, including the forecast. So just do this. Okay, so see how my August exponential smoothing forecast is 0.9 times the closing price in July plus 0.1 times the exponential smoothing forecast in July. So 0.9 times um, June closing in the B column plus 0.1 times um, July exponential smoothing in the F column. So 0.9 times what just happened here plus 0.1 times just what just happened here. Okay, let's get the error in the G column. So starting in G3 equals the difference, B3 minus F3. Okay, let's apply that down like this. All the way there, and let's get the average of all those errors in the August G column in the blue. Okay, so the average of all the errors there in the G column is going to be about 10 cents. And then finally, let's do these ones. Okay, let's convert column H to percentage. And let's calculate our our AP here in H3. Okay, equals ABS double parenthesis B3 minus F3 divided by B3. So that's the absolute value of the actual minus the prediction over the actual. So that's the percent that this is off from this, which is here, 20%, 22%. Let's drag that down. Okay, and then our last cell here, August. For H, let's get the average of the APs. All right, so there we go. I got for both of mine. Okay, for Bud Anheuser-Busch, I got the moving average prediction for August with the errors, and I got the exponential smoothing prediction for August with the errors. And so basically, I'm saying this one says the price will be on average $67.50. This one says it'll be $63.91. Okay, and also make sure that you're like look at your graph or look at the historical data and make sure that your prediction is somewhere in the right range. So see, mine says it's somewhere around there. So just make sure it makes sense given what's happened. Like if you're prediction says that like if it said it was like $1,000 or like -20, something's probably wrong. So make sure it looks feasible that your prediction could occur. Okay, and then for the other one, Molson Coors, here's my average August prediction for MA with the errors. Here's my average August prediction for the exponential smoothing, and this one predicts it to be $51.29. This one a little less than 50. And if you look at the graph, okay, that looks feasible, right? Yeah. Okay, so now let me just show you how to kind of get the summary and what you're going to turn in. But we've done all the data analysis in step 2. Okay, so we got the data and the time plots. We did the forecasts, the moving average for both, the exponential smoothing for both with the errors, right? And what you're going to turn in is just a little discussion. So let's include a brief discussion on the oligopoly market these two firms compete in, whatever it is, social media market, rideshare market, big domestic beer market. Okay, and then I'm going to mention that the firms follow a Cornell or Stackelberg if that's applicable, and just a couple sentences on your expectations for these oligopolies and this market going forward. So in your summary, you're going to throw in the graphs, the forecasts, and the errors with the equations, and then a little discussion. So let me show you kind of what it's going to look like here. Okay, so let me just throw in the graph. So you can just copy and paste your graphs from Excel like this. Let me see if I can put them. No, don't do that. Okay, there's that one. And then I just want you to put in your equation and your predictions, and then your um, average error and your APE. Okay, so let me show you here. Let me see if I can. Okay, So for Anheuser-Busch, all right, so maybe just put in the title so I know which one you're choosing. All right, so this one is number 13, which is the US beer market, okay? Okay, and for Anheuser-Busch, let me show you the how to write the equation for the MA2 and just throw in the average error and the MAPE. So the okay, so the MA2 for August, you get that by just taking the average of the last two um, observations. So it's essentially this plus this divided by 2, right? Okay, which gave me $67.50. Okay, and the error was, or the average error. Okay, and the MAPE was 6.46%. Okay, so see what all I'm doing here is I'm just writing the simple equation on how we got the prediction. So I got $67.50 by taking the average of 7201. Oh wait, what did I? Sorry. Okay, by taking the average of $72.01 and 1 cent plus $62.98. So the moving average of 2 to get this is just this that goes there plus this that goes there. Divide that by 2, and that's how I got the 67.50. And then I just put in my 0.25 for the average error there and the 6.46% for the MAP. And I'll do the same for the exponential smoothing. Yeah. Okay, so the exponential smoothing for August 2021 is your equation would just be 0.9 times 62.98, or I mean, whatever your closing price is for July. So for me, it's 62.98. Hold on. All right. 62.98 plus 0.1 times 72.33. Okay, and that gave me the $63.91. Okay, so again, this is how I got the 6750. So 7201 plus 6298 divided by 2 gave me $67.50. And for this one, I got that by doing equals 0.9 times 6298 plus 0.1 times 7233. That gave me $63.91. And then let me throw in these two. Okay, so there's the average error right there, 18 cents. And the MAPE, which is 5.78%. Okay, and let me just do the summary for um, Molson Coors. Okay, copy this. All right, so let me write out the equation for Molson Coors. So I got this number by taking the average of these two. Okay, and the average error here was 14 cents. And the MAP was 6.98%. Okay, and then this one for Molson cores, I got 0.9 times 48.89 plus 0.1 times 54.11, and that gave me 49.41. And that average error was 10 cents, and the MAP was 6.26%. Okay, so all we're doing is I just want you to explain the simple equation for how you got the forecast and just throw in the error measures. So 51.29 was calculated by doing the average of 53.69 plus 48.89, right? And that was 0.14. And this was 6.98%. Kind of got this prediction right there by doing, you can just look at the equation that you're writing out equals 0.9 times 48.89 plus 0.1 times 54.11 gave me, that's how I got 49.41, and that was 10 cents, and that was 6.26%. Okay, and then so you've got the summary of your data with the closing price graphs. You've got a summary of your two forecasting measures with the equations and the errors, the mean forecast and the MAPE for each, and just put in a little discussion at the end, just like, I don't know, half a page or so. Okay, just put on a few sentences on this stuff here. Okay, so what market do the firms compete in? And do these firms follow Cornell or Stackelberg, if that's applicable? And then just what are your expectations for these oligopolies in this market going forward? So just talk a little bit about specifically which topic you chose, the two oligopolies, what market it is. Do these firms follow a Cornell and Stackelberg? If it's a Stackelberg, which one is the leader and which one is the follower? And what do you think? Just a little discussion on what you think is going on in this particular oligopoly, this market, and kind of if the price is trending up or down, and what you think. There's no right answer here. I just wanted you to just a little bit of uh, information on what the specific oligopoly and market is, and really that's it. And then just this is just um, a summary of kind of some fun stuff that we're doing some forecasting. So you got a summary of the first oligopoly with the equation and errors. You got a summary of the second oligopoly with the equations and errors, and just a little quick discussion on this stuff here. Okay, and so when you're done with this, just post your assignment with the graph, the equations, the errors for both, and your discussion just on a Word document or a PDF. And just, should the whole thing shouldn't be more than um, a couple pages with the, so your discussion shouldn't be more than like half a page. You don't need just a little bit of information there, and that's it. Okay, and so you've got a nice little summary of your data, your forecast, your discussion. I guess let's say 2 pages because the graphs took up a whole page. And then if you could put your assignment in PDF or Word, and you don't have to submit your Excel file. You can if you want, but I'm just going to look at the other thing, the summary with the graphs, the equations, and your little discussion. And you're going to post that, oops, here. And that's essentially your last homework assignment before we get to the final take-home exam next week. Okay, so any questions on what I want you to do for this assignment? And then again, there's a bunch more students that need to pick a topic. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics left. So all of these students that haven't chosen something need to email me or just let me know which topic you want to choose so I can assign you. So there'll be 5 more topics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 6 more topics. And once those are chosen, I'll put them here, and then I'll post the list of all the topics, and then I'll post my examples you can look at as well. Okay, so if your topic has been chosen, like these students here, then hopefully you know what to do. Let me know if you have any questions. And again, the students that don't have a topic, let me know what you want to choose that hasn't been chosen, and I'll go ahead and get that set up for you. And yeah, so okay. All right. So remember, the Chapter 10 homework is due today, so post that there. The one we just went through, the oligopoly homework, is due next week, so post that there. And then we have one more meeting, and next week we're going to spend a bunch of time doing some practice problems, a review session for the final, the take-home final, and we'll do that next week. So this is due today. This is due next week. And next week in our WebEx session, we'll do some practice problems and a bigger review session for the final. Okay, so if you have any questions about your oligopoly homework, let me know right now or via email. But that's what I got for today. And if you're all good on your oligopoly homework and the data analysis and everything else, then that's it. And yeah, so thank you for joining today, and have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you next time. And let me know if you have questions about this assignment, which is due next week. So that's it for today, and thank you for joining.